Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances of the Shishra Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to our morning Bhagavatam class. This morning we continue with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 18, Verse 8. And the chapter is entitled, Maharaj Parikshit Cursed by a Brahmin Boy. We're very happy to have His Grace Vishnugada Prabhu with us. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Vancha Kapatubhyascha, Namaha. Hare Krishna Prabhu, and it's all yours.
We didn't hear the kirtan. Was that something with the...
You know what? Oh, Krishna, it was playing. I think I need my daughters to check my settings. I think it's on my end.
Okay.
It was playing for me, but I didn't realize that no one else was hearing it. I apologize, Prabhu.
I don't know. I didn't hear it. I don't know if anybody else heard it.
Probably others didn't hear that. They're just being kind.
No,
and
we didn't. That's okay.
Oh, Krishna.
Just
So,
wonder. Okay.
I'm sorry. I have to ask my daughters to see why it's not working on my side.
Okay. Just so we'll do the Jai Radha Madhava. And
Yes, Prabhu, please.
Those people, devotees who'd like to unmute themselves, it's good. So we actually have a call and response. Kirtan. Be nice. If you don't mind.
Yes, Prabhu.
Maybe some people are at work. They can't do that. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jai
Radha
Madhava
Kunja Bihari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Baradhari
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Baradhari
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana
Jamuna Tira Vana Chari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jamuna Tira Vana Chari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana
Vrajajana
Vrajajanarandana
Ranjana
Yamunatira vanachari.
Yamunatira vanachari
Yamunatira vanachari.
Yamunatira vanachari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya
Radha
Radha Kunja
Kunja
Bihari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajak Acharya Ashtotara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai.
Jai.
प्रेम से कहा श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय।
Jai.
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरी गोवर्धन की जय।
Jai.
वृंदावन धाम की जय।
Jai.
नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय।
Jai.
गंगा माई की जय।
Jai.
यमुना माई की जय।
Jai.
तुलसी देवी की जय।
Jai.
भक्ति देवी की जय।
Jai.
समवेता भक्तवृंद की जय।
Jai.
गौर प्रेम आनंदे।
Hari Hari Bol.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
Krishna
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
Krishna
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
Krishna
All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga Hari Hari Bol. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirbhishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya
Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 18th chapter, 8th verse. Kim nubale shushurena kalina dhira bhiruna apramatta pramatteshu yovriko nishu vartate. Kim nubale shushurena kalina dhira bhurina apramatta pramatteshu yovriko nishu vartate. Kim nu bale shushurena kalina dhira bhiruna apramatta pramatteshu yovriko nishu vartate. Christian.
Kim nu baleshu shurena kalina bhira bhiruna apramataha pramatteshu yovrikoneshu vartate.
Kim nu bale shushurina kalina dira iruna apramata pramateshu yobriko nishu vartate.
Kim nu bale shushurena kalina dhira biruna apramatta pramatteshu yovrikon rishu vartate. Hare Krishna.
किं नु बालेषु शूरेण कलिनाधीरभीरुणा अप्रमत्तः प्रमत्तेषु Yo vrako nrushu vartate. Hare Krishna.
What new may be Baleshu among the less intelligent persons, Shurena by the powerful, Kalina by the personality of Kali, Dhira self-controlled, Bhiruna by one who is afraid of, Apramatta one who is careful, Pramateshu among the careless, Ja one who, Vrika tiger, Nrishu among men, Vartate exists. Translation. Maharaj Parikshit considered that less intelligent men might find the personality of Kali to be very powerful, but that those who are self-controlled would have nothing to fear. The king was powerful like a tiger and took care for the foolish, careless persons. Purport. Those who are not devotees of the Lord are careless and unintelligent. Unless one is thoroughly intelligent, one cannot be a devotee of the Lord. Those who are not devotees of the Lord fall prey to the actions of Kali. It will not be possible to bring about a saner condition in society. It will not be possible to bring about a saner condition in society unless we are prepared to accept the modes of action adopted by Maharaj Parikshit, that is, the propagation of the devotional service of the Lord to the common man. Om Agyana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhistang Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Shayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Shapandantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaud Bhaktabinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Before speaking, I'd like to ask the permissions and blessings of all devotees, and particularly those who are senior by age and or advancement in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. So this verse and purport is following the activities of Maharaj Parikshit after he punished Kali, and gave him a place in his kingdom to reside, which was where gold is hoarded. Because where gold is hoarded, then the four principles, material principles, sinful activities become forward. Meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling. So here, Parikshit Maharaj is considering that even though he's given some shelter to Kali, and less intelligent people in the age of Kali particularly might get caught up in his in Kali's nefarious ways, still the devotees of the Lord, they won't get caught up. They will have nothing to fear because they've taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 9th chapter. He says that avajananti mam mudha manusim tanumashita param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta mahesharam. Unintelligent men who know me not think that he's assumed this form and personality. They think they don't know his supreme dominion over all that be. And then later in the chapter, it says, Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakrityam ashrita. Those who are not deluded by that misconception of thinking that Krishna is just an ordinary man, they take shelter of the divine energy. Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakrityam ashrita bhajanti ananya manaso. And how do they take shelter of the divine energy? How? Because they engage in devotional service. They engage in devotional service. The same point Srila Prabhupada is making here. So this is reminiscent. This is reminiscent of the verse also in Bhagavad Gita. Daivihiyesha gunamayi mamamaya duratyaya. The three modes of material nature, this material energy of his, consisting of the three modes of material nature. Duratyaya means very, very difficult to overcome. Mameve ye prapadyante mayametam tarantite. But those who surrender to me, they can cross beyond it. They can easily cross beyond it. They have nothing to fear. And another verse in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam describes a similar point. It says, you probably heard this verse, Sama Shritaye Padapallava Plavam. Padapallava Plavam. Mahatpadam Punya Yasho Murare. It says, that person who's taken shelter, Pada Pallava Plavam. Pada is feet, and Pallava, there's a lot of different names in Sanskrit for lotus. Like, Aravinda is one, and here is Pallava is another name for lotus. And Plavam means a boat. So Lord Krishna's feet, Pada, feet, his 2 feet are like a lotus boat. Pada Pallava. And somebody who's taken shelter of Krishna's 2 lotus feet, Pallava, is like a lotus boat. Mahatpadam Punya Yasho Murare. He's also known as the enemy of Murari. Mahatpadam Vatapadam Param Padam. Padam Padam Yadvipadam Natesham. That those people, the bhava, this big ocean of material problems in this material world, the ocean shrinks, vatsapadam, shrinks to the water, the size of the water in the hoof print of a calf. You can think about that. Just by taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, all the problems in the material world become very, very, very tiny. And one can easily step over them by taking shelter of the lotus feet of Murari. But not that person who has avoided doing that, because in this material world, padam padam yadvi padam natesham. There's danger in the material world at every step. So naturally, we are going to be fearful. And what is how can you become abhaya, fearless? Lord Maharaj Parikshit is given this example by taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, whose lotus feet are like a boat that can cross over the ocean of material problems. So here in the first line, those who are not devotees of the Lord are careless and unintelligent. Of course, people in general, and we don't like to think of ourselves as unintelligent. That's kind of like an insult. Actually, if you read comments on Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, people struggle with that. people calling, they're calling people unintelligent. Because we want to think that we're very intelligent. Everybody wants to think they're very intelligent. But here, Maharaj Parikshit is talking about the less intelligent men. And the word in the verse, did you catch the word that was for less intelligent? Did you catch that word? Baleshu. Baleshu. What does Baleshu mean? Baleshu. See, Baleshu means just like a kid. Bala, like Balakrishna. You got Bala, yeah, like a kid. Yeah. So kid is somebody who's Baleshu. Other places, it's called Alpameda. Alpameda means less intelligent. Alpameda. Yeah. So this idea of being less intelligent is very abhorrent and should be identified that way. But this is who's saying it. It's Lord Krishna saying that. Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is saying again and again like that people who are not Krishna conscious, they're less intelligent. And just like Srila Prabhupada says here, those who are not devotees of the Lord are unintelligent. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So then that brings us to the thing. Well, what exactly is intelligence anyway? We have to think about that. Well, what is intelligence? Sometimes, often it's called buddhi, right? Buddhi is intelligence. Buddha, somebody who's very intelligent. So we find in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the description of intelligence is included within the 8 material elements, isn't it? Bhumir, Apo, Analo, Vayu, Kam, Mano, Buddhirevacha, Ahankara, Itiyami, Bhinna, Prakriti, Ashtidha. That these 8 things, what is that? Bhumir. We could say earth. Sometimes Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would say solids. Bhumir, Apo, water, liquids. Anala, fire, radiant energy. Vayu, sky, that's air. Kam, ether. Mano, mind. Buddhi, intelligence. Ahankara, false ego. These things are part of Krishna's material energy. So if they're part of material energy, does that mean in the spiritual sky there is no intelligence or there is no mind? What do you think?
Prabhu, is it the intelligence in the material world is material intelligence, but in the spiritual world, the intelligence becomes spiritual?
Yes, there's a spiritual intelligence and a spiritual mind in the spiritual world. So what we're in this verse, it's talking about that's the material energy, material intelligence, right? Yeah, and there is a spiritual intelligence. So what is that real or spiritual? What is intelligence? What is intelligence? The material intelligence is part of the material energy. So in the description of Lord Krishna's 64 qualities, one of those qualities, as you might know, is that Lord Krishna is very intelligent. And then the description of intelligence is given as two factors are intelligence. One factor is very sharp memory. And the other factor is very fine discretion. These two factors are mentioned. And the example of intelligence for fine memory, the aspect of fine memory, is given there that Lord Krishna, when he went to the ashram of Sandipani Muni, even though he's a young boy, and he whatever was spoken, whatever he was learning so many different arts, and every day Sandipani Muni would teach one particular branch of knowledge or art, and by then Krishna would have it completely understood. Well, 64 times, 64 arts like that. So that's given as an example of sharp memory, very keen memory. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the description of when Vyasadeva was compiling the Vedas, Puranas, Mahabharata, one of the reasons given that he was considering doing so was because he knew he could foresee that in Kali Yuga, that specially said Alpa Medhasha. Alpa Medhasha means in Kali Yuga, people's minds, they'll be less intelligent, and one of the parts of less intelligence is they won't be able to remember. We won't be able to remember stuff. So you got to write it down, right? Write it. Yeah, if some important point, better write it down because you'll forget it, and especially if you get older, like me, you forget stuff all the time. So, earlier, previously in other ages, people could hear once, and then they could understand, and they could keep it fixed in their mind. But one aspect of the Kali Yuga is we forget things from day to day, very important things, not just where you left your keys or left your phone or whatever, but very important things you forget, like who is God, what our point is, what purpose of life is, to serve him. So that's one example of, so Vyasadeva seeing that, oh, yes, people in the Kali Yuga, Alpa Medha, their memories are not sharp. Their memories are reducing. Their capacity to remember is bad. So therefore, compiling the Vedas for us unfortunate people here in Kali Yuga. And then the other aspect of fine discrimination, which is mentioned there in the Nectar Devotion. Do you remember what it is, the other aspect? Fine discretion, example of that? It's described there that Lord Krishna, when he was living in Mathura, there was a Yavana named Kaliyavana who attacked, right? And Kaliyavana was a Yavana, which you could translate as an untouchable. Of course, in modern times, in India, untouchable has one definition, but in the United States, untouchable means, well, somebody's like a John Gotti person who's not touchable. That's different. But untouchable means generally you don't, because they're so involved in bad activities and dirty activities, we don't touch them. So when the Kshatriya, Lord Krishna acting as a Kshatriya, was attacked by Kaliyavana, he didn't fight with him directly because then he might have to touch him. But he ran away from the battlefield, and as you perhaps know, that he was chased by then Kaliyavana, ran after him, and he ran into a cave, and in the cave it was dark, so there was a person named Muchukunda who was lying there and had been given a benediction by Kartikeya, one of the demigods, that he could sleep as long as he wanted. And if anybody interrupted its sleep, just by his glance, he could burn them to ashes. So then Kaliyavana ran into the cave. Krishna was in the cave, and he happened upon the sleeping body of Kaliyavana, and he thought, oh, this must be Krishna trying to hide. So he kicked him. Muchukunda opened his eyes, and that was it. The Kaliyavana burned to ashes. So that's given as an example of fine discretion. So intelligence, according to this Nectar Devotion, is sharp memory and fine discrimination or fine discretion. Another place, Srila Prabhupada describes intelligence as being able to analyze things, the power to analyze things in the proper perspective. The power to analyze things in the proper perspective. So for example, it took millions of dollars or billions of dollars to send a manned space expedition to the moon, even if they went there. But what tangible benefit has resulted from that for you and me? Anything? No.
No benefit, Prabhu.
They supposedly brought back some rocks, and those rocks then certainly were stolen here and there. They're all been scattered here and there. So anyway, so in the proper perspective, if you step back and look at what's the real benefit of all this stuff, the thing that was like an incredible waste. So intelligence means to be the power to analyze things in the proper perspective. And another place Srila Prabhupada explains about intelligence, he calls it the form direction of the supersoul. The form direction of the supersoul. So, there's the example given, which it's there in the Bhagavad Gita also, that, our physical, our existence is like a chariot being pulled by horses. You remember this, the chariot pulled by 5 horses, and there's a driver of the chariot, and the driver of the chariot is holding the reins, and there's a passenger also on the chariot. So in this example, the horses are like the 5 senses, and the reins of the the control the horses are what?
Mind.
That's
The
the
mind.
mind, right. And the person, the driver of the chariot is the intelligence, and the soul is
Krishna.
the passenger.
Okay.
Yeah, the passenger there. Yeah. So ordinarily, in mostly in our material life, the horses, the senses are out of control. They're running here and there, and the intelligence has lost its power to control. So the reins have just kind of fallen from the intelligence hands, and the horses are running here and there. Where's the destination? It'll probably crash. That's material life. You can imagine, get that kind of image in your mind. But the proper situation would be the horses are controlled by the reins, which is controlled by the intelligence, which is given impetus from the soul to go to a proper destination. So as we said in the beginning, there's the material intelligence and there's the spiritual intelligence. So when Srila Prabhupada is talking here about less intelligent men, he's talking about the spiritual intelligence, because many people can have incredible amounts of information, but what's the ultimate benefit of that information? Like going to the moon, right? What's the ultimate benefit of that information? What you see. So we always, the standard depiction of that situation is the example of the scholar and the boatman, right? The scholar is very, very intelligent in the material sense. He knows, the boatman, he has to cross the river, and there's a boatman there, and the scholar says, "Oh, I'd like to hire your boat." "Yes, sure." So they make some arrangement for payment. And so the scholar gets in the boat, and they strike up a conversation. And the conversation, the scholar talks about, "Oh, I see you're rowing the boat very nicely, and you see how the eddies come and all the water, and you have to work with the currents in the river. This is very much like the science of Physics. Do you know anybody? You ever learn much about the science of physics? And the boatman says, "Gosh, no, sir. I never learned the physics." But so the scholar says, 25% of your life has been wasted, right? And then they talk about the science of botany. Oh, this is botany. No, I don't know botany. Then what about meteorology? There's the cumulonimbus cloud and this cloud. No, I don't know much about that science. So finally, because at that time, it must have been the rainy season, or maybe not. A storm comes up and the water becomes very turbulent, and the boat capsizes. And just prior to the boat capsizing, the botanist as well, "Do you know how to swim?" And the scholar says, "No, I never learned how to swim." So then the boatman says, "Then 100% of your life is wasted. That's it." Yeah. So this is a contrast between the material intelligence and spiritual intelligence. The boatman may not have known all these different things about the material world, but the essential point that he could understand is how to save himself from death by learning to swim. So what's you could say swimming is a knowledge. Okay, knowledge and intelligence are related, but they're a little different. But the intelligence directed him, the boatman, to learn how to swim, and he got that knowledge. You follow? So the intelligence is the thing that directed him, or that he chose to follow, to get the knowledge of how to save himself from death. So similarly, spiritual intelligence is the direction that you and I can take so that we can learn how to free ourselves from the repeated birth and death by becoming Krishna conscious. The spiritual intelligence will tell you, chant the 16 rounds, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Yes. I know your mind is going to be, my mind is wandering, just like your mind is wandering, but the intelligence is, no, bring it back. Come on, don't go over there. Come back here. That's the intelligence. Come on. Yato nischalati manaschanchalamasstiram tatastato niyamyaitat atman eva vashamnaya. Wherever your mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, you certainly have to withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. How do you do that? By intelligence. And there's another verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavam mam prapadyante. Out of many hundreds of births, many thousands of births of trying to get knowledge, someone who's really got knowledge, what is it? Mam prapadyante. They surrender to me. That person is very rare. So the intelligence was, Krishna is God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, let me surrender to him, become his devotee. Intelligence means to understand, see things in the proper perspective. This material world is a place of misery. It's not going to be my ultimate place of satisfaction and happiness. Don't invest everything in this material world, in my happiness in the material world. Sometimes, if you've ever gone to the beach, in some beaches, people take great care in making castles on the sand or other different sculptures out of the sand. And sometimes they're very attractive, very beautiful. Sometimes I've gone to Florida and they make a sand sculpture of a crocodile or a dolphin, and with great care, they just spend hours. But then what happens? Boom. The tide comes and it's all gone. So is that how we should use that would be called baleshu, less intelligent, to spend our time in developing things that will have no real function or lasting benefit. And that's how Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita people who do such things like that. But for example, antavatu palam tesham tad bhavati alpamedasha. We know this verse. Antavatu palam tesham tad bhavati alpamedesham devan deva yajo yanti. He says, those who worship the demigods are alpamedesha. Alpamedesha, like I said before, means what? Less intelligent. Krishna saying, not us saying, Krishna saying, alpamedesham. Krishna saying less intelligent, alpamedesham. Why alpamedesham? Why alpamedesham? Because antavata means there's the happiness is limited and temporary. It has a beginning and an end. Therefore, they're considered less intelligent. It's not in my real benefit. Intelligent means seeing things in the proper perspective. You may get a boon from a demigod, but that boon and the demigod itself both are temporary. And the other verse in Bhagavad Gita, Yehi samsparsha jabhoga dukkha yonaya evate adiyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. He says that those who are intelligent, Buddha in that case, Buddha, those who are intelligent, they don't take pleasure in the contact of the senses with their objects. Why? Because such pleasures have a beginning and an end. They're very, very temporary and fleeting. So actually in that verse, they're described as the sources of misery. The sources of misery. Just like in recovery of addiction recovery, people come to realize that the things that they're addicted to, whether it be alcohol or street drugs, that's the cause of misery, or tobacco products, anything, because that addiction, looking for that pleasure through that addiction, is causing them repeated and continual disturbance. So, yehi samsparsha jaboga dukkha yonaya evate. They're the sources of misery. That desire, interest to desire of putting all our eggs and trying to enjoy the senses. Dukkha yonaya evate. So, an intelligent person, a Buddha, they don't do that. So this is real intelligence, the spiritual intelligence versus material intelligence. In the material world, of course, the word intelligence has a little bit of a misunderstood or misused connotation. For example, you have the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, isn't it? The CIA. So what is that intelligence? The CIA, what are they really? Is it really intelligence that they're getting? Or is it information? And then they get information, and with that information, they may do something really stupid. And it's often the case. You probably know there's so many things in history. Well, they got some information, and then as a result of that, just one thing is for example, in Afghanistan, the Russians used to be in charge of Afghanistan, right? So then they had information, there's some Arabs that could fight against the Russians, and they could help get rid of the Russians. And that way, Russians are enemy. So they funded, gave weapons and stuff to the Arabs in Afghanistan to fight a jihad. And so then what happened? It developed Al-Qaeda. That's it. So they're that was the information they had, but it wasn't used. And there's so many examples. So that's not really intelligence. It's information. And even from a material standpoint, it's not very intelligent, the activity. So it's a misnomer that they're saying, this is the central. It's a central information. And they use that information for things that are very unintelligent and for they can be for nefarious means, or supposedly benign means, but usually not. So like that. And so also we have something nowadays called artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence. So is it really intelligence? Is that really intelligence? Or is it something it's propaganda? It's somebody's going to make some arrangements. Yeah, you'll get some information about such and such and such, but it's not going to tell you about how to free yourself, how you can actually be happy in the world. How to engage in devotional service, how this world is made up, who is controlling this world? We don't find that at all. You won't find that through artificial intelligence or the CIA. They're not going to tell you, oh, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is there, and the whole point of life, if you really want to be happy, is to engage in a service, as is being explained here. Another place where Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita about people who are less intelligent, in the divine and demoniac natures, he talks about those who are demoniac, asatyam apratishtam te jagad ahuranishvara. He says that there is no truth, asatyam apratishtam te, there's no foundation, jagad ahuranishvara, and there's no God in control. So then the next verse, Krishna says that these people are lost to themselves and have no intelligence, less intelligent, as mentioned here. Anyway, so these things are, these intelligence we want to develop. So we're coming from a position of less intelligent, like Srila Prabhupada talks about. There's those who are, the self-controlled person has nothing to fear, but those who are prepared to accept the modes of action. So to bring about a saner condition in society, we have to accept the modes of action adopted by Maharaj Parikshit, the propagation of devotional service of the Lord. So we're in a situation of by our birth, by our material activities, we're not so intelligent. We're less intelligent, but you can become intelligent. How? By engaging in Krishna consciousness. That's its brain. Srila Prabhupada used to say that when people talked about brainwashing, Srila Prabhupada would say, no, actually we're brain giving. We're brain giving. And there's this verse. The verse is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sango Pangashtra Parsharam Jagyar Sankirtana Praya Yajantihi Sumedhasa. Medhasa means intelligent, and Sumedhasa means very intelligent. So if you want to actually get spiritual intelligence, what's the method? Devotional service. And what's the prime method of devotional service? Jagyara Sankirtana Praya Yajantihi. So you engage regularly in the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, especially in congregational chanting, and that will give you intelligence, Sumedhasa, and that is a proof of intelligence also. Jagyar Sankirtana Praya Yajantihi Sumedhasa. So Parikshit Maharaj, because the Kali was going to stay wherever gold is hoarded, so he made sure he wouldn't keep gold hoarded in his treasury. But you know what he would do with the gold in his treasury?
He would distribute it, Prabhu?
He would spend it for the devotional service of the Lord, especially for the Sankirtan movement. That's right. That's right. Now, I mean, you got, there's all this craziness going on, and people who are supposedly intelligent, but really, the result is more problems. So, Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing that for us to follow in the footsteps of Maharaj Parikshit and use our energy, use our words, use our time to engage in propagating the devotional service of the Lord, specifically, most prominently, the hearing and chanting of the holy names of the Lord for everybody's benefit. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for such a wonderful class, Prabhu. Really beautiful points, such very, very nice points. Thank you so much. Definitely a class that we have to meditate on and really reflect. So thank you. Would like to ask devotees if any questions. Yes, Mother Geeta, go right ahead, Mother.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my
Prabhu.
humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. First of all, thank you a million times for such a wonderful lecture on intelligence. Never thought about it in this way. Thank you so much. In the beginning of the class, you were talking about difference between material intelligence and spiritual intelligence. And you said there are two criteria. One is sharp memory, and the other is discretion. So My question is, if a person has very poor memory, but is still trying to be Krishna conscious, does that indicate less intelligence?
As long as if they can continue to serve Krishna and they remember that, that's very good intelligence. That point of the memory is the important point. Remembering that I am the servant, and Krishna is the God. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and my business is to engage in a service. So even if I can't remember many other things, if I remember that important point, that's very intelligent. Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So like, we get older and our memories, my memory, I know it's not as sharp as it was once, but still, if I can remember by Krishna's grace that what my position is, then that'll be helpful. Lord Chaitanya prayed that way too. He said, Ai nanda tanuja kinkaram patita mam vishame bhavam buddho kripaya tavapada pankajas titu duli sadrisham vichintaya. I've fallen to this ocean of death. Please pick me up and fix me as an atom at your lotus feet. So if we can remember those things, we might forget some other stuff, but that memory is really the essential memories to have.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you for the nice question, Mother. Would like to ask devotees if any questions, any comments, or clarification, please do raise your hand, or you can jump right in, or you can put it in the chat, and I'll be happy to read it to Prabhu, and he can answer your questions or comments. Prabhu, when you were speaking about in the class, about spiritual intelligence in the spiritual world, spiritual mind, is there spiritual ego, Prabhu?
Yeah, I'm the servant of Krishna.
Aha. Thank you.
Another example we might give in the idea of spiritual intelligence and material intelligence, the Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was an incredible scholar. He had a photographic memory, eidetic memory, they say. He remembered everything. And who did he have as his guru? Gorkishore Das Babaji.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Gorkishore Das Babaji, he wasn't a materially educated person, but Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave him the highest in regard because he knew the purpose of life, and he could serve and serve that purpose. So that contrast. So he had the highest spiritual intelligence, even though from a material standpoint, he was some say illiterate. There's different definitions of illiterate, but some say illiterate from that point. So he was not a materially scholarly person, but from understanding Krishna and the essence of devotional service and the aspects of how to best serve Krishna in various circumstances, engage others, he could do that very well.
Thank you, Prabhu. That really answered my question, spiritual ego. Thank you so much. Any questions from devotees? Yes, Mother Geeta, go ahead, Mother.
So, Prabhu, does that mean that someone who is kind of a academic scholar, does that mean that that person probably could be less intelligent? It doesn't matter if materially very well educated.
Well, we don't have to say me, but we don't have our point. But Krishna says that. Krishna says that if that scholar takes the position that they're asatyam apratishtam te jagadahura nishvaram, that there's no God, or there's no truth, there's no reality, those kinds of things. Certainly, Krishna describes them as less intelligent. And Srila Prabhupada would also comment sometimes, like big scientists. He spoke with in Moscow, Professor Katowski, and he would always, that really stuck with him because he would say, "Wait, these are the biggest, Indologists and scholars in Russia, which is supposedly very advanced and people highly intelligent." But he said, he said that Professor Katowski said, I have to tell you, Swamiji, after death, there is nothing. That's it. There's nothing. So, that's less intelligent. Yes, less intelligent, even though he was a big, big scholar. So, not all scholars are that way, but some certainly and hopefully the Lord Chaitanya came to save and to rectify all those scholars, who were trying to avoid the mercy of the Sankirtan movement. So sometimes we find that scholars who are less intelligent become intelligent through the mercy of the devotees, the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, the mercy of Srila Prabhupada's books, and the chanting of the holy names. Yeah. So Krishna says, I didn't say, Krishna says.
Thank you, Prabhu. Any questions from devotees? Any thoughts that you want to get clarified, please? It's such a wonderful class, amazing points. Definitely, Mother Geeta, very powerful class. Prabhu, okay, go ahead, Parikshit, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Hare Krishna, licenses. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. As far as science and so on goes, there's a lot of assumptions that are made by the so-called intelligent people because they don't know the source of creation. And so they're not really having knowledge which has proper foundation, but they still go on as experts. So Srila Prabhupada has described them quite appropriately. That's all I wanted to comment. Hare Krishna.
Very nice point. Very nice point. Thank you. Thank you.
Prabhu, I have a question, and
Yeah.
that is, and it's been in my mind since the beginning of the class, and that is, here Srila Prabhupada says, unless one is thoroughly intelligent, one cannot become a devotee of the Lord. And then you so nicely connected less intelligent to the verse that Srila Prabhupada says, Baleshu, so which means, to my limited understanding is, when we all, when I come to Krishna consciousness, I am definitely was less intelligent, Baleshu, but being someone who has been practicing for so many years, I can't claim to be intelligent because I'm still learning. But then I am trying to practice devotional service. So how can I become intelligent? Or will that ever happen? Or is it right for us to think, oh, now I'm a devotee, so I'm intelligent? Because we don't like to be called unintelligent, as you said. So I'm just trying to understand that concept.
Well, if you're like me, sometimes I don't make the right choices to do devotional service. We're on the path of sadha and bhakti. So sometimes our intelligence is there, but it's not fixed. There's the different stages of devotional service. One stage you get to is nishta. So our intelligence right now, you have some intelligence. Yes, you do. You do. You've come to Krishna consciousness. You're giving a large portion of your life in service to Krishna and Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada and your guru all appreciate that very much. But yeah, we have to all get more intelligent too, so that we get fully intelligent, then things will start to everything will fall into place very nicely.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Helps.
Can I add one more point to it? Just for discussion's sake. You define intelligence, the ability, for discretion, use discretion, make the right thing. There are so many religions. Sri and I both came from a Christian religion, but we made the choice to come to Krishna consciousness. So that's a very intelligent choice. Even though our families don't believe that, but it is a very intelligent choice. By Krishna's mercy, by Guru's mercy, what we heard was very convincing. And therefore, we may not be intelligent in so many other things, but that decision is the most intelligent decision, that's for sure. Hare Krishna. Just wanted to add the comment.
Thank you.
Prabhu, there's a question in the chat, and then Mother Geeta has a question too. This is from Pratibha. She said, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. A question: a devotee may have the desire to see Krishna's creation and just be mesmerized with it It may involve exploring new places, travel to the moon, exploring some fall in some category. What do you think?
Oh, so what's the purpose of the exploring? To see if the purpose is that you marvel at the wonder of Krishna's creation, so then you serve him, okay. But if the purpose is just to have a good time, to go on a tour, then that wouldn't be intelligent. Does that make sense?
Waiting for her. She said, yep. She says, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, Mother Geeta. Go ahead, Mother.
Prabhu, what is a symptom of someone who is fully intelligent?
Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti madva bhajante mam buddha bhava samandita. Those are really smart. They are really intelligent. They always engage in my service. Yeah. Buddha bhava aham. That goes along with the question also before. I am the source of everything. From me, everything's coming. Everything emanates from me. Those who know this, and those who really know this, Buddha bhava, they engage in my service. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
And Prabhu, really smart in what sense, Prabhu, in terms of Krishna
Spiritual intelligence. Spiritual
Okay.
intelligence. Yeah.
This has really stirred up very nice questions. A very, very nice class. Amazing. Any other questions from devotees? Prabhu, there's one point that I wanted to ask is, and you were mentioning in the class, and I'm just thinking, how can we be careful not to fall prey into that? Like you mentioned, like, we don't like to be called unintelligent. We think, oh my God, my ego has been crushed. So and we come across situations where devotees, I've got initiated, I'm intelligent now, don't tell me what to do, kind of a thing. How can we not fall prey into that, Prabhu?
Fall prey into what? Saying that
How can we not fall prey? Think, not have that mentality that I'm intelligent, I got initiated, I know what I'm doing, I don't need instructions because I'm intelligent. Like, how can we not develop that mentality, which is dangerous?
well, intelligence also means to be able to follow, the proper authority. Like we're accepting the authority of Krishna. So one of Lord Krishna's recommendations is that the first sign of knowledge, intelligence, knowledge is a source of, as a result of intelligence is, what is that? Amani dvam adambi dvam. Amani dvam. First sign of intelligence is that we are, the knowledge, first sign of knowledge is that we're humble. The biggest pitfall on our journey forward is to think we're already we're really advanced, we're really good. That's our biggest pitfall, because if you're already advanced, you don't have to do anything. You're already there, you got it. But the reality is that we still have a good ways to go, and we're not. If we were perfect, then you'd be at Krishna's lotus feet. You'd be in bliss at every moment. But we're not. So an important point is to. So your question was, how do we tell other people, or how do we tell ourselves? Tell ourselves.
How can we check ourselves? Because sometimes the mind is such a rascal, Prabhu, that we think we got it.
Yeah. We think so. If really were that intelligence, then we would we'd be engaged all the time, and we would be in Krishna prema. So we have ways to go. We have to admit it, and that's part of humility. Without that humility, you can't. You're thinking, hey, I'm okay. There's nothing I have to do. Everybody else is doing something. I'm doing fine. Nothing else. That's a really important ingredient in continuing to make progress. very dangerous. We can become falsely proud. Yeah, we do. I mean, big demigods become falsely proud. Of course, we'll be falsely proud sometimes too. You know, Indra thought he was the big shot. He wanted to kill Krishna and the residents of Vrindavan. That's Indra. What to speak of us? So certainly that happens. So it's a good idea to stay in an association of devotees as much as possible, because then that's a good way to. Usually, there's a way to get your false ego jettisoned or challenged, and always in association with devotees, and devotees who are at least peers and or senior devotees too. Even all kinds of devotees.
Thank you, Prabhu. That was powerful, because like you said, we can fall, falsely pride, and to feel comfortable, I think was one point you mentioned that we got it. And I liked your point, Prabhu, where you said that if we're always engaged, that is spiritual intelligence. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, that really helps. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions before? Okay, it's 9:10. Let's end the class. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for
Sure.
tolerating us with all. It just gave us a lot of questions to ask, and it's a powerful class. We thank the devotees for joining us. Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you so
Krishna.
much for wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Wonderful
Krishna.
class.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.